Creating Anarchy, everybody. It's your girl Brosia in China. And today we are diving into the paranormal world. We have a special guest tonight. She is a paranormal investigator and a psychic medium, Spooky Luna.
I'm so excited to have Spooky Luna here because I myself have had some crazy paranormal experiences and I have a lot of questions.
Yeah, me too.
For her. So, have you had any experiences?
Plenty, girl. A lot. Which,
A lot?
we'll get into that a little later. But as of now, Spooky Luna is here, so we are going to bring her on. Drop some black hearts for Spooky Luna, everybody. Hey!
Hi. How's it going, ladies?
Good. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
We are happy to have you. So we'll just dive right in. You can tell the viewers a little bit about yourself, what you do, and a little about Spooky Luna's origin story.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you both for having me. I'm really excited. The paranormal is my life. This is what I do. Some people only do this through the month of October. This is my life. I do this 24/7, 365 days a year. Ever since I was 8, 9 years old, I had psychic abilities, mediumship abilities too. I didn't know it. The difference between psychic abilities is you're able to see into the future and what's happening now in present life, where mediumship is connecting with loved ones and ones that have deceased on the other side. That's the difference. You can be a psychic and a medium, but you cannot be so you can be a psychic, but you cannot be a medium without being a psychic. It's just it's weird. It's I can go into it, but it's confusing. So I have both the abilities, and I knew since I was 8 years old, I actually saw my dad's death before it happened, and I thought for the longest time I killed him, and I couldn't be at his wake because I thought that I had done that to him because I had actually seen his funeral before it happened, and I didn't understand. So it happened at a very young age for me. Yeah, I had a spiritual awakening in my mid to late 20s, and my friend was like, wow, who knew that you were a medium? I said, I didn't know. I got thrown into this mediumship spiritual class not knowing what to expect. I went in and I read 2 people, and I read every single loved one on the other side. Didn't know how I did it. They were crying. I was like, I didn't mean to make you cry. I'm so sorry. But now, obviously, when I make people cry, it's I'm used to it. It's one of those, it's part of the job. But my friend was like, wow, you're a medium. And I was like, am I? She's like, yeah. She's like, well, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. She goes, well, why don't you start your own business, helping people? I said, nobody's going to want my help. And she goes, you won't know unless you try. So then I started Luna Paranormal, and I started the psychic mediumship, tarot reading, dowsing rods, pendulum readings. But my passion was more in the paranormal. I like things that go bump in the night. I like the scary stuff. I like going on investigations. So I don't really do as many readings for loved ones anymore. It's not that, those aren't important, but they just don't excite me as much as going into a creepy haunted place and reading what is going on with the dead people and why are they stuck there and do they need help. And I just like that stuff more. So I kind of gear more towards that. So since I've started it, I have my own private Discord, YouTube channel. I have my own podcast. So if you guys are interested, everything is in the link in my bio on my Instagram, or you could go to lunaparanormal.com. My whole story is on my podcast if you guys are interested in hearing the full length of it. But yeah, this is basically what I do for a living. This is my job. It's my job, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
So you said you had a spiritual awakening in your 20s. So were you not experiencing these things before then, and were you just not understanding them or really diving into it or not?
Yes. So I would have these things called panic attacks, and I thought it was from having a brain injury and PTSD. They were so debilitating that at work I'd find myself sitting under my desk crying and shaking because I just couldn't function. I couldn't drive. I couldn't go to the gym. They were so bad that I was on so much medication. I just never understood what was happening to me. And spiritual awakenings, everybody thinks that they're all rainbows, butterflies, you know, and unicorns, but they're not. They're very lonely. They're very miserable. And I went through this time where I lost everything and I couldn't understand why. But once I got past that hump, I started realizing like, oh, there's more there. And then once my friend was like, hey, yeah, right at the end of my spiritual awakening, let's go to Casadega, Florida, which if you guys don't know anything about Casadega, Florida, it is actually a spiritualist camp where mediums and psychics live. And and it's like really cool. So I went there, and that's when I had like the whole spiritual awakening and understood what my abilities were. But yeah, it turns out my panic attacks were actually the dead coming through trying to talk to me. And because I wasn't releasing that energy and using those abilities, I was being basically, I don't know, tortured by it. So once I actually started using my abilities and talking to the other side, I have never had a panic attack since. So
like, considering the panic attacks from back then, in like a different nature now, though, are you like emotionally affected by some of these, you know, energies, spirits that you share space with?
yeah.
Yeah.
100%. You know, anywhere from having dinner, even sitting here, you ladies, everything, energy and spirit is around everywhere. And you just have to know when to turn it off and when not to pay attention to it. I could be sitting at dinner and, you know, someone's loved one's like, hey, tell my granddaughter that I miss her. And you're like, I can't, you know, it's like, go away.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, there's so much stuff. And if I read a loved one and they've died of cancer, I feel it. I feel it. If something happened to them, sometimes I'll taste the blood. Like I'll feel like the headaches. Like,
So you can feel the physical pain that they've gone through. Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, I have that physical mediumship. Yeah. So there's different types of mediumship levels. Every medium's different. For me, I feel it. It's the physical side of it. I can actually see them with my third eye. Some mediums can't, some can hear them. You know, for me, I have the whole thing. I have the whole smorgasbord.
You can see them. So what do you see? Like, what does spirits and, you know, what does that look like?
If I would tell everyone to close their eyes and I told you to envision yourself standing in Disney World and you're seeing Mickey Mouse in front of you and he puts his paws out for a big hug, that's what I see. I see what my mind, so it's not like they're physically standing there, if that makes sense. It's almost like my imagination is making it up in front of me, but it's not. It's because I'm seeing it. It's within the mind's eye. It's very hard to explain. But I'll stand in a room and I'll know, and I'll get an instant image of like maybe a woman with curly hair wearing glasses about this tall. And I'm like, okay, wow, there's a woman in that corner standing there that looks like this. So it's not like a physical, like you and me, but it's more like, okay, my mind just saw it. I projected it. That's what's there.
And is it the physicality of like, so say you're doing like a loved one reading, you're like, oh, this woman in the corner with the curly hair, and they're like, well, my sister looks like that. So you're seeing the visual of the person they lost, right? Sometimes?
Right. Yes. So, and it's also different too for me when I read loved ones, or even spirits in general, they will always show themselves when they were the happiest and healthiest. So they might have died at 70, but maybe they're coming through in their 30s because that's when they felt the happiest and healthiest about themselves. So I'm like, oh, I see them when they're in their 30s, but I'm not sure if that's when they died. They might have died a little younger because I'm getting like an older soul with this. And people be like, oh yeah. I'm like, yeah, you never see them sick, if that makes sense. Like I don't see them like that. Mm-mm.
Well, that's good. That's like a plus in it. And so what about you? Have you like connected to someone that you've personally lost ever?
That is the curse of a medium. We cannot connect with our own loved ones, and I cannot understand it. Every single medium will tell you. I know some mediums will be like, well, you know, I talk to my loved ones. Well, that's great, but not me. My loved ones will come to me in my dreams and give me messages, but for some reason, connecting to them is very difficult for me. And it sucks. It really sucks.
Yeah. So are you able to turn it off and on? Like, or it's just always you have to deal with it?
I set boundaries. So at night, I, tell my spirit guides like, hey, keep me shut down between these hours and these hours so I can sleep. But for the most part, I'm open 24/7, whether I like it or not. They're always coming and going, unfortunately. And fortunately, I'm never lonely.
Yeah.
Have you ever been pursued by, a spirit to get like a message across? And yeah, I know you say usually, like you say no, like you can't do it, like you kind of brush it away because you don't want to constantly be telling everybody these things. But have you ever been constantly pursued to the point where you have to give the message to this person?
Um, yes, but it kind of goes down to this thing, free will, and what I learned from my mentorship, having multiple medium mentors and learning my abilities. I truly believe in this, and some other mediums are different. And unfortunately, Teresa Caputo, Long Island medium, her show kind of ruined this for the rest of mediums. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the show, but she'll
Yes.
walk up to anyone and be like, "Oh my God, somebody's standing right there," and you're like, "Oh, well, obviously off camera they told the people." But what people are watching is they don't realize we need to get physical permission to read somebody's energy, because I could walk up to one of you girls in the cheese aisle in the grocery store and your grandma could be sitting next to you and she's like, tell them, and I'm like, well, listen, I don't know what their spiritual beliefs are. If I go up and tell you that, I could have ruined all of your spiritual beliefs. I could have ruined everything that you thought, and that's not my job to do that. So some people will be like, well, God gave you the opportunity to do this, you should, it's not going to hurt anything. And I'm like, well, that's just what I believe. So if I feel somebody was going to hurt themselves or it came to that point, I might just try to strike a conversation with them as a normal human and just try to see if how they feel about maybe the other side before I do that. But there are times that I've come across where unfortunately I said no, and they were kind of rude back to me. So, sometimes spirits are kind of rude, but I'm like, what are you going to do? I just don't know if they believe, and it's not my job to push that on them,
You don't know what it'll do to them.
So do these spirits ever like taunt you about it? Like, I said, tell her. I need you to tell her. Like,
yeah. There was one time I was sitting in a sushi restaurant and a grandmother came up to me and she was like, my granddaughter's over there, please give her a message. And in my mind, I'm saying no. And I'm telling my spirit guides, tell her to go away. And she was like, no, I need you to do this. It's really important. I said, I don't know what you can't understand. I said, no, I cannot do it. And she's like, you have to do it. And she was so annoying about it that I was like, excuse me. And I got up from my date and went to the bathroom. And I said, ma'am, like, I was literally like, it looked like I was talking to the wall. I was like, I cannot give your granddaughter a message. You do not understand. This is free will. I cannot do that. I don't have her permission. She's like 13, surrounded by other 13-year-olds. I cannot do this. And she goes, well, you suck. And she got like so mad and went away. I was like, oh my God. I was like, you just took me away from my date at the sushi restaurant. Like, you suck. It was funny. Yeah. It was, sometimes they just really want to give their loved ones a message, and it's sad. I like felt that. I was like, yeah, but I can't. I'm going to be ridiculed. There's a bunch of 13-year-olds sitting at a table. What do you think is going to happen to me? This is like high school all over again. Like, like, no, thank you.
So, when you were younger, right, did you believe, because like you said, you don't know what people's beliefs are. For me personally, I've always been super intrigued by this. And, I used to play like certain spirit games with my sisters and my cousins. Yeah. Did you always believe when you were younger, like in the paranormal world and, all that?
Yep. Absolutely. I believe that we all have a soul's purpose, and my soul's purpose was to do this, and regardless of what was going to happen, I was going to fall into this career path because it was meant to be. So I watched all the ghost shows. All the houses we lived in were haunted as shit. Like, I was being tortured when I slept. Like, I literally was surrounded by it my whole life. And the thing is I was actually so afraid of it growing up that I steered away from the paranormal until I got a little bit older, which was kind of crazy because it's like, wow, I was afraid of it, but now I'm like not so much because I understand it more. But yeah, I really feel like we're drawn to it. And there people who work in the paranormal, they don't just do it because I feel like there's something that draws them to it. Now, there are some people that do it for clout, but I truly believe the psychics and the mediums, we don't have a choice. We will get pulled to it one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. Like your soul's purpose, like you said.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned spirit guides. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So we all have spirit guides, and people love talking about spirit guides. So I particularly have 3. And when you're a medium, we have one that's called a gatekeeper. This one basically opens the gate to the other side and single filely puts all spirits in line and kind of keeps them in line for me so that we're single. Because if not, all of them will come at me at once, and it's like really loud. I do have some protectors. I do have one that look after me. How to find your spirit guides, a lot of meditation. And I know that's like the worst response because everybody's like, I suck at meditation. Trust me, I do too. But that really is your only way to find your spirit guides. Yes, we all do have them. Sometimes they can be your loved ones. Very rarely are they. But sometimes they are. They can be animals. They can be somebody from your past life. They can be a twin flame. They can be a soulmate. It's just they're there to help protect me. And without my spirit guides, I wouldn't have my abilities. So if my spirit guides decided to up and leave, my abilities would go with them. I would lose them
Mm.
all. So it is very important that I make sure to tell them that they are loved and that I appreciate them. They are just like a family member to me. Every night I pray to them and I talk to them, and yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of responsibility when you connect with your spirit guides. But yeah, everybody has them and they're amazing.
Wow.
But I
So,
can fire them too if I wanted. I can fire them too. I've done that
and then what
before.
happens if you do that? Like, so you fire them, do you get new ones? Like, because you said
Well,
without them.
so we have a lot of spirit guides, and there's only some main ones. I had about 10 to begin with, and there were some that didn't protect me when I needed it, so I fired them. And they don't
Okay.
come back. So my other ones, the ones that did, stayed. And I have three, and that's all I really need. So it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, three
Um,
sounds like a good number.
yeah, for
Yeah.
real. 10 sounds a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I seen one of your clips. You had went to a cemetery, and you were really uncomfortable in this cemetery.
Mhm.
What cemetery was that? And is that like one of the most intense places you felt, or if not, which was?
So that one was St. Calvary's Catholic Cemetery over here in Portland, Oregon. And that one is so beautiful. It's got massive heads. I'm talking about 20 feet tall. Like these
Wow.
headstones are beautiful. I have been there before. That was actually my first ever investigation was in that cemetery a few years
Wow.
ago.
So it
So
wasn't
I
the one
decided,
that you filmed that day.
yes, it was.
Okay.
No, what that wasn't my first investigation. That was
Okay.
like over a year ago. But I did go back, and that was
Okay.
the recent one that you saw with me in the cemetery. That was the same one. It's different. The energy that was there, I just couldn't understand it. It just made me sick. And no, that energy wasn't there the first time. It's just I don't know
Mm,
what had happened, but it made me so ill. And,
yeah.
I think it might have been a spirit that died. I'm not really sure. It's just like, it was almost like it passed through me and just left. So it's like I couldn't read it. I couldn't figure it out,
Mm.
but I felt so sick. And then afterwards, when I got home, I couldn't stop eating. I was so hungry from that.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, no, I felt your energy watching the video. Like I could feel how,
mm,
intense it was for you. So, but have you been in a space that was like, worse than that for you?
yes, my last investigation, I just posted my YouTube video last night of it. It was a residential home that I just went to in Bedford, Indiana. It was pure evil. Pure
Hmm.
evil. And this family was being tortured by a spirit that we believed was lower level demonic, but it didn't turn out to be that. It was just an energy of a residual energy of years and years and years of war, bloodshed. And anytime that there's a spiritual haunting on Native American land, they go at war with each other because Native American lands are protected by the natives themselves when they're buried. So if there's any energies that are not there, they basically go into a spiritual war. So unfortunately, this person's house was sitting on top of it. So things would go flying off the walls. They would see shadow people. It was crazy. And that was the chair that rocked back and forth. And that
Yeah.
I left exhausted from that one. We were able to cleanse the house and give back their home to them, but this is something they'll have to keep up for the rest of their life or the time that they live there because this is native land. So she has to build an alliance with the natives and like talk to them. And I told her to plant tobacco plants and like there's different types of hauntings. Everybody thinks it's just a ghost and it's not.
Yeah.
It can just be residual energy fighting
Mm.
against each other, which is something I've never come across before. But that one left me terrified. I went in shaking because I wasn't sure if I could one help the family or two. Like, I don't have a lot of experience in the lower level entities. I mean, I'm willing to do it, but it's pretty scary, you know.
Yeah.
You could really put yourself in danger in these situations. So,
I'm sure. So we did get a question in the question box that says, if you've talked to the dead, have you ever asked them how is the afterlife?
yes. Yes, 100%. And that is a question I will not answer because it's a free will question. This
Ooh,
messes with
okay.
everybody's beliefs and what they believe on the other side. If you guys want to know if there is a heaven and another side, yes, there is. There is a place that we do go where our family members meet us, our animals, our loved ones, our spirit guides. There are angels. There is a hell. Because there is a hell with heaven, there is evil. But what does it look like? I can't tell you. I just
Right.
can't. It's part of that free will thing. I don't want to change anybody's spiritual beliefs. That's very important for me.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's respectful. I like that about you. It's
Yeah.
also comforting to hear that there's a
Yeah.
place,
Yeah.
I
hmm
like that. So,
There is a place, and it is beautiful, and it is warm and inviting. So,
yay.
So with that
mhm.
being said, so when you do see spirits, or everybody has this, belief that they're stuck here if they're communicating. Are they stuck here in transit? Or are they just visiting? Are they able to come and go? Like, what is the?
Sometimes some spirits are stuck in purgatory, is what they'd like to call it. Sometimes some spirits just choose not to move on to the other side. Sometimes I'll say one spirit has a foot here and a foot there. There's a living. I like to call it. We're in the living veil. They're in the afterlife veil. They're able to have 2 feet on both sides, which is mostly your loved ones. If your loved ones don't feel 100% ready to pass over because maybe they're waiting for you or whatever it is. As creepy as that sounds, I mean, they're not waiting for you to necessarily die, but time doesn't work. Time only exists when we're living. Over there, time is very different for them. So,
Mhm.
it could be that your mother had, and you had a soul contract to where you're always going to be together. So she's going to wait to fully cross over. Sometimes it can be negative. Sometimes some people die so fast that they don't realize they died. That happens too. And they're wandering, lonely and trying to figure out what happened to them. And sometimes mediums can come through and help them with that. Sometimes we don't find them all, which is really sad. I don't want to scare anybody and be like, oh my gosh, if I died really fast, could that happen? I mean, yeah, that's the reality. It could happen to us, but for the most part, I do believe that we have free will to come and go as we please between this world and the afterlife. It just kind of depends. And we share the afterlife with everybody, basically. So serial killers, bad people,
Oh,
shitty
wow.
people, we all share it with the other side. So it's just one of those things. It's very strange how the afterlife works.
Hmm, interesting.
Now that everybody's terrified of dying, there you go.
No, you
Well,
actually
honestly,
gave me yeah,
a comfort about it. That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. That definitely makes it
Yeah.
a
If I
little
have
better.
unfinished business, I'll be seeing them on the other side, because we're all going to the same
hmm
spot. So
And I'm going to tell you too, if you were a shitty person in this life, most likely you're going to be a shitty person on the other side.
Right.
oh really?
Literally. Yeah. Sometimes some people will not learn because when we pass, we still have to learn. We have teachers on the other side, people that help us understand things, and
Mm,
some people just don't want to do it. They just choose not to.
yeah. So, are you afraid to like bring some of these energies back with you, or is it like when I seen in the cemetery video, I believe you like prayed to your spirit guides prior.
hmm
Is that what protects you from bringing any of that home, or?
Yeah, so I will set the intentions usually before I go into any investigation. Hey, spirit guides, I really need you to protect me on this one in case I don't see something coming. But before I leave, I'll usually go to the front door or, turn around at the cemetery and say, you are not allowed to come home with me. You need to stay here. You're not allowed to attach to me or any of my equipment. Thank you for speaking with me. It's as simple as that. And I turn around and walk away. So as long as I tell them, like, hey, don't come with me, we're good.
Yeah,
We're
So is
good.
this
okay.
something that you've learned over time? Like, did you have a lot of issues when you first started, getting into
No.
your gifts?
So I always tell people with the paranormal and spiritual, really, really learn what you're doing before you do it because it can be extremely dangerous. I know a lot of people just want to go pick up a camera and some equipment and go investigate haunted places, but if you don't know what you're doing, you could come home with something that you're not asking for. So I actually had mentors, different paranormal investigators that I investigated with, taught me the things that I know. I did a lot of research before I started doing it on my own. So if anybody's thinking about doing this and you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on my website because, I probably know an investigation team in your side of the country if you're
The
interested
area.
in it. But yeah, always, always do your studying, please, before you go to these places.
So, with that being said, Ouija boards.
Oh,
And people frown upon Ouija boards. And I've even heard a story about once you play with it, you can never get rid of it. I've heard someone say they threw it in the trash and it ended up back in their attic, and you have to burn it, or the spirits haunt you for life. It's always negative. What's your take on that?
oh, the stories of the Ouija boards. I love them.
Yeah.
They're so funny. So, I like Ouija boards. I mess with them. I play with them, dabble, whatever it is people say. Ouija boards have a bad connotation because of TV and movies. You don't see a movie called Tarot and it's like, really scary or whatever. So any device or divination tool that you use, tarot, pendulum, dowsing rods, spirit boxes, they're all the same. There's nothing different between Ouija board and that. You're opening up a form of communication with the other side. I think people have a lot more scarier experiences with Ouija because they go in with that emotion of being scared and afraid of the Ouija board. So when you go into something like that, you're putting fear into the reading. So that's what you're going to get back out of it. So I think that's why people am I saying some of these Ouija board stories are not true? No, I know some personal people that have had attachments or things that have happened through Ouija boards, but you just have to know how to do it and really do your research before you do these things. It's very serious because if you go into a Ouija board and say, hey, who's ever here wants to talk to me? Well, you literally just said whoever is here wants to talk to me.
Yeah,
so
open door.
yeah, so you have to be very careful. But yeah, I don't believe they're any more dangerous than tarot cards. It's
heard because
yeah.
I've always wanted to, because like I said, I've always been super into it, like intrigued. And me and my sister used to play this game with playing cards where we decided that this suit meant yes, this one meant maybe, this one meant no, like similar to the Ouija board, you're asking questions and getting answers, kind of. So I always wanted to tap into it, but everyone around me is like, you better not, never, do not.
But yeah,
so to hear that it's just not all bad, it's good to hear. That's why it's nice to have you to educate us, give us real insight on these things.
Yep.
China, what about you? Have you ever wanted to play with a Ouija board?
Oh, I've always wanted to. I mean, but for the same reason, I never did. And then I also feel like, I always wasn't sure if just buying one was really the authentic one. Like, I always had this thing growing up where I was like, you have to go somewhere, like,
stumble upon
legit. It. Yeah, like you have to go somewhere legit and get one. You can't just like go to Walmart and buy one. So.
Yeah.
You could literally take a piece of paper and write down all the letters and numbers and use a glass. It's the same exact thing. Yeah. I bought mine off of Etsy from an artist who carved into the wood, and I thought it was really pretty. And that's how I got mine. You could literally use anything. So,
and so let me ask you this: does it actually move your hand?
Yes.
Like,
wow.
Wow.
Some people are incapable of getting planchettes to move. Planchet is the thing that sits on top of the Ouija board. Some people just will never get them to move. Others can. I don't know. I don't know why that is. I will never understand. But yeah, they always work whenever I put my hands on them. So.
Heard. And then
do they help you though? I mean, if you can already communicate like with,
Right.
I don't. So I don't use Ouija boards as a form of communication with the other side. I only do it if I just maybe want to do like a little seance in like a haunted place, if the people allow me to, just to kind of see what comes through. I would say Ouija is probably the least favorite form for me to use because, for one, you really don't know what's coming through. On the Ouija board, you don't really always know who you're talking to, even being a medium. And I do believe that Ouija kind of reads what's up here. So I feel like sometimes it kind of reads what you're hoping it's going to say. So I've done it blindfolded before and still got messages, but they're not as clear with your eyes open. So I would just say Ouija board is probably not your number one. I wouldn't recommend it to be your number one thing to go through to communicate with spirit. I don't particularly like it because I don't trust everything that comes through on it.
Okay, so we have a question from just who you're waiting for. Do you think that if you ask a Ouija board a question and they give you an answer about the future, will you not remember the answer until it comes true? My aunt claims that's what happened to her.
No. No. I'm sorry. No.
I
It
mean,
doesn't
yeah, a
make.
lot of the Ouija stories I heard sound like kind of. So, what about the one I said? Like, someone said they threw it away and it ended up back in their attic where they found it.
I I think that's possible if it's haunted. For sure. It's possible with dolls, with any object. Yes, I mean, you can throw away a Ouija board. They're not all going to come back, but I do feel that maybe in that instance she had a haunted one and it did not want to go. So,
So, throwing
maybe
it away doesn't necessarily get rid of the spirit, though, right? You can throw it away and it doesn't come back, but you can still be haunted by that
Yep,
spirit, correct?
correct. If you don't know how to open and close Ouija's properly, yeah, you're really screwing yourself over on that one. You're opening up a door to the other side. If you open the door but you don't close it, you've got this
Yeah.
freeway just going in and
Yeah.
out, and it's not good. So do your studying before you use divination tools.
So does it open up conversation for people on the other side or spirits that are here, right? Like also, is it like
All
open
of them.
communication? Oh, okay,
All of them.
okay,
Hmm.
Wow.
that's crazy. Yeah. You
Yeah.
mentioned dolls though. Have you ever come across like a possessed or haunted object?
Yep, in my last investigation, we had to tell the owner to get rid of it. Yeah, we put it in a box and bound it and everything. And yep,
The one where you went with the rocking chair.
yep.
That
It was a
okay.
Raggedy Ann doll out of all the ones.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a trickster spirit. Yeah. hmm I've come across a lot of them. I read a lot of dolls, actually.
So does that get rid of them? Just like packing them up and get like shipping them out? Like does that get rid of the spirits?
Sometimes.
Depends.
It
Yeah.
just depends on the spirit. And it could be that I just want everybody to understand this. Not all dolls are haunted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Not all dolls are haunted. I feel like every single time somebody sees a creepy doll, they're like, it's haunted. I'm like, no, it's not. It's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of sellers too, like on Etsy and stuff, that will bind a djinn, which is like a genie, and they're not necessarily the best spirits to bind to these objects because then they'll sell them as haunted. They'll do some really cool parlor tricks, but then you've got a negative entity in your home
Mm.
that is liable to just explode, and you don't want that either. So be very careful. Find somebody that can read the dolls for you before you purchase them if you decide to do that.
So
We
speaking
have
of
a
Genie, you had a spirit episode on your podcast that I listened to, where you kind of broke down, say the word, what is it?
A
Jinn?
djinn, yep.
Okay, jinn, fairies, demons, like, so elaborate on some of those things that people don't normally believe in for us a little. And don't give too much so that they can go and actually listen to the episode because it was really good. But just give us a
Sure.
little bit of that.
Um, they all exist. If you thought that, if you ever wondered if vampires exist, they exist. If fairies, they exist. I don't really know so much about Sasquatch or Bigfoot because I haven't seen them for myself, but I'm sure it exists. Aliens exist. It all exists, and you have to be able to open yourself up to their different energy planes in order to see them. Like fairies, for instance, I had a time where I was sleeping, and this is when I was going through my mentorship and learning how to. So, in order, when you're a medium, spirits don't come to me. I have to raise my vibration level to go to them in order to speak to them,
Mm.
which is very difficult to do. So elementals, what I call the elementals, so fairies, trolls, all the above, they're on a different level than what your loved ones would be. So this is when I was meditating, really trying to like find my abilities and where they could go. And one night I woke up to fairy bells going off, and I thought I was going crazy, and I just was like looking around, and I went back to sleep. 30 seconds later I heard it. I said, okay, I know I just heard that. Like that went off again. I ended up talking to my mentor. She goes, you've reached the part to where you can actually hear fairies and like communicate with them. I was like, okay, that's pretty freaking cool.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, they do exist. I've come across trolls. They're not very nice. I just, if anybody wants to know, go to the podcast episode because I really go
Yes,
through what each one is, and it's hard to
each
talk
one.
about them all. But yes, they are all real, 100%. So
That's
it's
crazy.
it's cool.
Yeah,
No,
it
that's
was
really
cool.
cool.
The episode, guys, was really good. Like, I sat and listened to the whole thing, and she does literally break down each one and explain it, and it was super cool. So you guys should go check that out. And then to touch on another episode, I believe it was, you mentioned skinwalkers,
Yes.
um, and you said how like you're not really sure if you believe in them or not.
Skinwalkers. So I haven't come across them myself, but I do know that they're more native, and the natives keep that such a secret and locked down. They don't really share that with the public that much. So there's not that much research on them. I do know that they only exist on native lands. Do I believe that they exist? Yes and no. I do believe that people have seen something. I personally want to go do an investigation for them and learn more about them before I say yes or no to it. I'm not one of those people that are just going to say, yes, it's real without physically knowing for myself and seeing things
Yeah.
for myself.
For sure. So for the people that might not know, because I actually recently learned what that is earlier this year, can you tell them the definition of what a skinwalker is?
So basically, a skinwalker is it's native, so it's Native American, and it's their version of like, I don't know, an evil entity, an evil spirit that will walk the lands and will take your children or like abduct you and things like that. It's very scary. It comes in the form of like a wolf. It can come in the form of a human. Most people say that they see their eyes are gold and red. They're very dangerous. They're evil. They're very evil, and they roam with on the lands of. They can't really come into your homes, from what I've understood. They're more on the outside. So if you guys really want to know more, you can look into the show Skinwalker Ranch, or you could do some readings on them. But like I said, there's not a lot of history or truth to a lot of things because the natives keep it really under wraps. They don't want a lot of people to know about it, which is fine. I totally understand that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like their version of a demon.
I've actually touched on some of it, and it's creepy. It gets dark. It does get dark. From what I've seen,
It's
like I
scary.
haven't really, yeah. Just
Hmm.
just hearing about it, you can almost get the visual of like what these people are experiencing. We do have some questions for you though.
Sure.
Layla wanted to know: is it safe to communicate with spirits while you're pregnant?
You are more prone to communicate with them easier when you're holding a child. I would say, personally, if I would not, because that is the safety of my child and
Yeah.
myself. So I guess that kind of is up to you as the mama of the baby. If you're comfortable with that, then you can. I would say that it's going to be a lot easier for you to connect with the baby.
Okay.
A
And
lot,
yeah,
a lot of pregnant mamas go through some weird spiritual stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
because you're like 1 foot into the, like what's, you're bringing life into this earth. So,
Yeah. And
we,
babies themselves, they haven't been jaded by life yet. They're open to
Mhm.
everything. So here you are holding this miracle that is not, that hasn't experienced life and ruined things for them. So they're as pure of a soul as it's going to get. So you have a pure soul trying to connect with the other side. Yeah, you're going to connect pretty well.
Wow. And then Layla also asked, is Hecate, I think that's how you say it, a demon?
Hecate?
Hecate, there you go.
No, it just depends on, what you believe. It's more of like a Wiccan pagan tradition. No, she's just another type of deity, really. And it's just a female, the story that goes behind her. If you guys want to do more research on her, you can. I don't believe that she is, no. I
okay.
mean, Lilith might be more along that lines because she was the quote unquote the keeper or queen of demons. That's like her thing. Would say she's probably more along the lines than Hecate.
Okay. And you mentioned pagan. Is that what you identify as?
Yeah, I am Norse pagan. So I believe in life, death, and earth is what I believe in. A lot of people ask me about religion, and that's such a hard thing. I was raised Catholic. I didn't see eye to eye with Catholicism, and a lot of people ask me about Jesus and stuff like that. And I just tell everybody, regardless of what you believe and what religion, we all go to the same place. So whatever makes you comfortable and you find comfort in that truth for yourself, whatever you feel spirituality makes you the happiest, stick with it and go with it. And if that makes you feel fulfilled and happy, yeah, that's
That's great
good.
advice. Yeah, me
Yeah, that's
too.
great advice.
Hmm.
Loyalty underscore said, how do you recharge your energy after a draining reading or investigation?
Food. I like eating, sometimes dinner, but sometimes if I can find a tree, I'll just put my hands on a tree and I'll just kind of let the tree take the energy from me. Sometimes I'll close my eyes and just kind of let my spirit guides and just the energy, just let them kind of take it from me. I'll sit here and meditate for a good 10 minutes to just kind of close all doors, take all energy. It takes a few days to really get over certain things, like very traumatic experiences with spirits or really negative ones. It could take days. I'll still feel the residual energies from them. So
You did say that you could also feel like the physical aspect. Does it take you days to feel better physically as well?
sometimes,
Oh, that has to be very draining.
sometimes, yeah.
And is it only when you do your readings, or is it also when you come across, some a spirit that may have endured some trauma or was sick? Like, do you
All
feel
of it,
clear all of it? Oh,
all of the above. Yep,
That's intense.
it
that
is.
is, that's
Yep,
gotta be
Yeah.
draining.
it does.
Because
It gets
like
draining a lot.
I'm an empath, right? So I feel others deeply, but to feel the dead and
Mm.
all those type of energies, and then the physical pain of these people and stuff, I couldn't imagine. Like, I bust into anxiety attacks just from feeling others energies and feelings, so I couldn't. And these are alive people. So it's like,
Yeah, I
no.
bet you're not good in grocery stores, huh? Grocery
Oh
stores.
no, I
Yeah.
listen.
When you go into a
No.
grocery store next time, wear a hat or a hood of some sort. It'll help you. But I'm glad that I'm not an empath. Like, I'm sorry. I always say empaths have those shittiest cards because I do not pick up on other people's emotions. Thank goodness I couldn't. But yeah, so think about what it feels like in a grocery store for you, but the other side.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I know it has to be intense. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's so crazy that she's like, oh, thank God I'm not an empath, but
Yeah.
she's dealing with
On
paranormal.
another
Yeah.
level. Yeah. That's
Yeah, I just,
Oh man.
I can deal with the dead, but alive people for some reason, y'all get me.
Yeah.
I don't have answers.
no, it's intense. It is intense.
Yeah, it
Very
is. It's
intense.
okay though. It is honestly a blessing, really
Yeah.
more than anything. And I wouldn't take it back for anything. So,
Yeah, I mean, you were given this gift for a reason.
yeah.
And it's nice that you've learned to deal with it and you've used it to help others and to investigate. I mean, to get
Hmm.
answers, because a lot of
Yeah.
people need help, and a lot of people don't believe people when they need help. You know what I mean? They think, oh, you're not telling the truth. This is all bull.
Yep.
Like I'm sure people like being able to go to somebody and being understood and being helped.
Yeah.
You see a lot of it in the
Not
movies.
a lot of people know I exist though, and that's really sad because there are people out there who really do need help. Like that family in Indiana. One of her daughters got put in a mental hospital for a week because they thought she was crazy. And it's like, no, she's not. Like, she really is seeing what she says she's seeing. It's really sad. It's really sad what people go through. I just wish that some of these paranormal investigators weren't so hard to get a hold of.
So
Well,
do you think that people can be possessed?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I
So
feel it takes, and I'm going to say this, and sorry, I mean, there's no easy way of saying this. It takes a really weak minded soul, an individual mentally to be possessed. So somebody who is drug abuse, alcohol abuse, very negative on a suicidal tendency, super anxiety, super depressed, not just, there's some people that are not born, they're born as doormats. They let people walk all over them and,
yeah.
they don't stand up for the if you're not mentally strong, it doesn't matter how much you believe in God or Jesus. If there's something that's going to get you, it's going to get you. And I hate to say it that way, but it's true. I'm one of those people that are always going to be real with you. I'm never going to sugarcoat things, but I'm going to tell you possessions happen from demons, and no matter what you hear, demons are very, very rare. I would say out of 1,000 investigations, only one time am I ever going to find one or come across one. They are so rare. So don't listen to when people say, "Oh my God, it's a demon." It's not. It's not. Most of the time, it's not. So be safe knowing that they don't exist that as much as other things do. So You
Okay.
probably won't even come across one in your lifetime, so don't worry about it.
So have
Thankfully.
you have
And
you
if
come
you do,
across
I'm
one?
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Hit up Spooky Luna.
I'm my sister always jokes, and this is so funny because, she's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm just doing my blog. I'm, trying to write about different creatures." She goes, "You're like Sam and Dean from Supernatural." She's like, "Isn't that weird to you that like you're the real living like Sam and Dean?" I was like, "I
Yeah.
am, aren't I?" It's so weird, but yeah, that's basically how it is.
So outside of the skinwalker thing that you said you haven't experienced, are there any other paranormal phenomenons that you are skeptical about or just, don't necessarily like just on the fence because you have not experienced it?
Aliens.
Aliens. Okay. That's a
Mhm.
good one.
Yep,
You're on the
they
fence
do.
about aliens?
Yep. I know out of all
What?
the things I believe, right? Out of all the
Yeah,
things,
Yeah.
they do
that's
exist.
crazy.
So remember how I said I have to raise my vibration to speak to different levels? So you've got
Hmm.
your loved ones, then you've got, dogs and animals, then you've got children, but children sit next to God. They're very, very pure, their energies. But above that is like aliens and stuff like extra. I'm not saying they're stronger than God. I'm just saying they sit on a different level. So for
Hmm.
me to reach them, I have not ever raised my vibration quite high enough to reach them, but I do know they exist because obviously the universe is infinite. Like we can't be the only ones, but I have yet to see a UFO or an alien or anything. So it's just like I want to do another paranormal series on aliens, so I think that would be kind of cool too, but yeah, I can't say that they are or are not. I just know that something exists. I just don't know
Yeah.
if it's the weird face, big eye things that we say it is.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
if you
that's
do
how I
experience
feel.
it, let us know so you can come back
Yeah.
on and tell us about it.
I
Because
totally will. I will let you know. I'll be like, "Oh my God, girls, guess what? I saw an
Yeah.
alien."
yeah. All
So,
right.
as content creators, and having to kind of get things out there for people to see on camera, do you think that spirits know that they're on camera? Do they react differently when there is a camera present versus not?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I was in Asylum 49 in Utah, which is, if you guys want to look up what Asylum 49 is, it's an old asylum hospital. And I don't have any of that footage because it was all supposedly disappeared off my camera. And I was
Oh.
never able to post about it. Every single time I would set up my camera on the tripod, turn around, I would hear it go beep, beep, and I'd look over and be like, "Why does it keep shutting down?" And the guy came up, he goes, "Yeah, they don't like to be taped." And I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me. That's why I
Oh my
came
God.
here.
Yeah.
You could have at least told me this before you took my deposit." So all night I was fighting my camera shutting on and off, on and off. And then I went to look for my stuff and it was all gone. I was like, "You've got to be kidding me." So yeah, they know. They know. And sometimes they'll come through on spirit boxes and say camera, recording. Like they know. They know. They're not stupid because it's like some of these really popular places, all they do is get paranormal investigators in and out of there. So these spirits know what's up. They know how the machines work, how the equipments work. They know. It's like their
Yeah.
full-time job is to scare us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And did you get good stuff from that you didn't that you lost? Like, was it good
I
shit?
heard voices.
Ah,
I saw shadows running back and forth, cold spots, creepy, creepy stuff. I got such
damn.
great things. I couldn't
Yeah.
share. I was like, dang it. But
Ah,
oh well. Oh well, maybe one day.
yeah. At least you got to experience it.
Hmm.
Do you ever come across any with humor? Like when you go to do your paranormal investigations?
Yes. So if you guys go on my TikTok, link in the bio, there was these two other girls, Trinity Paranormal and Brittany Paranormal. We were sitting there and we were laughing in our investigation because the spirits we were getting, this one said like foreskin in my ears. I was like, ew. He was like so perverted and said the most pervious things. And like, yeah, sometimes you get some really gross ones and some pervs. Yeah, sometimes they're funny. They really are. So I love those ones though, because I hardly ever get to laugh because it's always so serious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, for sure. I can imagine. So any advice, like anything you could say to just sum it up and educate the people on this for the and I know you're not into like altering people's beliefs, which I love, but like anything for like the non-believers or the people who just frown upon the stuff that you do. you know, like something to just sum it up and leave them off with.
It's so boring to stay in a box your whole life. Open your mind up a little bit and understand that if you can understand that miracles can happen out of thin air, then other things exist on the other side. And my father was an atheist and didn't believe in this stuff. So it's very hard, and I'm not trying to alter anybody, but I'm going to tell you that there are things that exist whether you believe it or not. And so I always like it when people are like, I don't believe. I said, well, ghosts come in out of your house all day long. They don't just stop at your house and go around it. They're going in and out all day. So, you know, it's just not fun. Just have fun and believe a little bit, because it's so much more interesting. Come to the dark side. We have cookies. Like, come on.
Yeah, I like that.
You know,
I
but
love
you know,
that.
it's okay though. I'll have all the fun. You can be boring in your corner and not believe. That's okay. That's okay.
Yes.
And I'll be here when something goes bump in the night, and I'll be like, I told you so. So
Call up
So
Spooky
if you
Luna.
guys have any paranormal activity, you want readings, anything, hit up Spooky Luna for sure.
Yes.
She's definitely the one to go to.
For sure. So Luna, you can go ahead and tell everyone where to find you. I know you already did, but just one more time.
So you guys can go to lunaparanormal.com. That's LUNA paranormal.com to find everything. Or if you click on my Instagram, there is a hyperlink, my link tree and my bio. Everything is in there. I have a podcast on Apple Music, Spotify. I have a YouTube series going on right now. So everybody just go follow me, lunaparanormal.com. It's so easy to find me if you guys want to book me, all the above. Yeah.
Yeah, we did have some people in the comments say they want to book you. So
Yep.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. We enjoyed you. Our
Yes,
viewers
thank
really
you.
enjoyed you. This was super awesome. We'd love to have you again maybe one day in the future. And we appreciate you.
Thank you, girls, so much. I love you
Thank
guys
you.
so much. I'm sending good vibes and energies your way and success. Thank you so much. And I'm here if anybody ever needs me. So just you guys
For
know where to
sure.
find me.
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
sure.
And Luna,
Bye.
to just jump right back into that, you said that you highly believe and that you've had experiences. Let's talk about some of yours.
Um, uh, so some experiences that I've had. I mean, I've never, the worst thing that I say that I have experienced, and I don't necessarily know, I know people, I don't know if they actually associate it with spirits or if it's just something that you experience when you're sleeping. I, however, am like 90% sure that it is something that almost, I don't want to say haunts me because it's not reoccurring enough, but probably about like 10 years ago, I experienced like sleep paralysis for the first time.
Mm.
But the way that I experienced it is, it's bad. Like it's dark, it's heavy, it's like I can't breathe. And it's scary. Like even talking about it, I get like upset because
You
it's
can
like,
hardly talk about it right now.
yeah.
Let it out.
It definitely like visits me every couple months, and it's just this feeling like when I wake up, I get rushed, and it's almost like feeling like I'm being pinned down. And I don't know if it's sleep paralysis or if it is something darker or deeper.
So is it like you're trying to, like you're awake now and you're trying to get up and you just feel stuck?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And my whole body can feel the energy, like it can feel the fear, like the heaviness of it. And it's been still sometimes and then rushed me. So it's like, I don't know. So it's like, I'm always like, oh, it's just sleep paralysis. It's not real. It's just this. And then it's like, no, like something is sitting like over me. And I know I mentioned to you this before, but it's almost like certain things are going on with people in my life at that time or things like that kind of make me feel like maybe it's something that they carry because it's not so constant in my life that it's somebody who's around me bringing that energy to me, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Because
yeah,
it's not a constant
that.
thing, yeah.
So hearing you say this, and then someone else in the comments even said I experience that often. I feel paralyzed. I thought I had an experience of sleep paralysis before, and it was recent. But I don't think it was that. You know what? I don't know. I don't think I thought it was sleep paralysis. We chopped it up to lucid dreaming, right?
Mm-hmm.
You and I. Yeah, that was probably like the most similar thing to that I've experienced, like being asleep and going through things. Like, I feel like I was in another dimension and I lived this experience. When I woke up, it didn't feel like it was a dream. Like, you know, when you just dreamed, and then you know when it's like, oh, last night happened like this, and now I'm awake. It felt like that. And that was probably one of the scariest things that's ever happened to me. And I'm not going to get into the details of it because I'm already feeling emotional talking about
Yeah.
it. But yeah, that shit is intense and it's really fucking scary. Like,
It sits with you for sure. I mean, do you feel like when somebody experiences that, like Luna mentioned earlier, you know, things are just constantly in and out of your house. They're walking in and out. Do you think that's just like a passing by type of deal, or do you think that you know, if somebody's experiencing that, they may need to be cleansed, or it's something carrying them? Like, because like I said,
I'm
I've experienced this, so
many
it's not
times, but not
many times. Yeah,
yeah. So that was my first and only time going through something like that. That was probably in my whole 29 years of life, the scariest thing that has ever happened to me. And I've been through some scary ass shit. Like,
yeah.
that is probably, I didn't want to be alone for days. I just felt super uneasy in my house. It
Girl,
was
I know I was on the phone
intense.
with you after, like
Yeah,
the
exactly. It was intense.
your dogs. You said your
But
dogs felt the energy as well.
my dogs were being weird, and like, still to this day though, I was about to just say like, oh no, it hasn't happened again, but yeah, that hasn't happened again, but other shit has happened in my house where I'm just like, hold the fuck up, what is happening? You know, my dogs, you know, they say, I don't know how true it is, I wish we would have asked for this, that dogs and babies, I believe, like, see spirits better than us or something like that.
Well, that would have been a
They'll
perfect
stand
question for her.
Yeah, they'll stand in my hallway, and this is where the lucid dream started. It was in my hallway, and that day they were tripping, and I'm not gonna get into the dream, but that day they were tripping, and now frequently they'll stand in my hallway and they'll like whine or bark, and it freaks me the fuck out. So maybe it is a more constant thing than I can realize before, and maybe I do need a fucking cleansing or something, bitch. I don't know, but
No, it's
it's
scary.
probably
Like
from
when
all
you
the
could
little
feel
games I
it
tried to play as a child. Like,
haunting you. Yeah, but okay, so you've lived in this house now for a couple of years, but the experiences have happened recently. You don't think like if it was
well,
something
I've been through other shit through all my years.
elaborate?
So I'll tell one of these stories. This is like a super intense one. My grandma's house, we stayed in her house for a few years. She owned this house from when my mom was a child. And we would hear stuff in the walls, um, banging on the walls, voices in the walls. And one time I was in my room. Mind you, we had a basement that none of us liked to go in. It was a finished basement. There was a bar, carpet, a whole closet, a desk. Like, it was a finished basement. There was a bathroom down there, everything. But none of us liked to go down there because the energy down there was weird as fuck. Can't explain it. Somebody was definitely down there. We felt it.
All of you?
All of us, our entire house, except my mom. She swore, and mind you, she grew up in this house, so whatever, but she swore we were just being dramatic. But my nieces and nephews would come over and they would be scared, like they would feel it. We all felt it. And so one time I was in my room by myself. This is after we used to play these spirit games because, like I said, I was super intrigued. And I was in my room by myself and I seen a face pop up. So I'm here, and there's a bathroom diagonal to me with a mirror on the door, and then the mirror for the sink is here. And so I seen like the reflection from the mirror in the mirror on the door, if that makes sense. You feel me?
Yeah.
And I seen a face, so I like freak out and I run to my mom and I cry and I tell her, and she starts asking me like, oh, was it like this and was it like that? And I'm like, yeah. She shows me a picture. Why she showed me a picture of the exact face that I seen in the mirror, come to find out it's her great uncle or uncle, one or the other, who died in the bathtub like forever ago when she was
What?
younger.
In the
Yeah,
house? Was it
in
in the
our
house?
house, in our bathtub. Um, my aunt one day, she came to visit us in that house, and she like in the middle of the night came and grabbed me, and she's all scared and shaken up, and she lays us, and she's like, she tells me lay in the bed, feel this, and the bed is like shaking, like you can feel it physically shaking, and she was super shaken up. She slept in my room that night.
What the?
Yeah, like I could bring my nieces on here about one experience that we had. Um, we all like were crying, and we were home alone. We had to be like 12 at this time, and we were fucking crying and freaking out, and no adults were there, and we just literally sat in the corner until my mom got home because we were talking to spirits, and then banging started happening in the walls, and we started hearing noises and whispers. Um, and yeah, it cold air, and it
Yeah.
was in the same house. Like I'm sure that house was fucking haunted, like so sure.
So for me, I would like I must have been like third grade. I used to have a bathroom that had two doors, like you could go in through both sides of the house. So it's always stuck with me because it was only me and my sister home at the time when it would happen. Like, I didn't have, like, my little sister was too young to play around or anything like that. But my shower would always turn on by itself, and it was like the ones where you had to like twist, you know. And my older sister is very like timid and into herself, and you know what I mean. She wasn't really like a trickster or whatever. So when I would like tell my mom or my dad like these things were happening, they would always say like somebody's messing with you, or you know, like brush it off. But like I'm sure like something was happening because it's like you have to literally, it's not just turning on by itself. It literally needed to be twisted to turn on. And it's like you have to turn it on and then twist the water to turn it on. So it was that was scary. And in this same house, it was an old house too. It had like a pool, and you know what it had? It had those little intercoms on the walls that they had like way back in the day that people would communicate through. That's how old the house was. It was old, and I would always hear like tapping, like you said, like the just slow tapping, but it's like I could never get where it was coming from. And I brushed it off for a very long time until the shower started happening, and then I was like, oh no.
Something's going the fuck on.
Something's going the fuck on.
It's funny, and you know something? Me saying my mom didn't believe in the basement, I think that she knew, right? Because the
Yeah,
more
but
I
your
think about
kids.
it, yeah, she didn't want to scare us. Because the way that she was like, oh, did he look like this? And like, hold on, yeah, that's who it was then. That's who it probably
Like the
was when
way
she
she
showed me the
just
picture.
knew.
Just so regular, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, girl, now that I think about it as an adult, like, you knew more than what you were
Were
giving
you
back
like,
then. You were just trying not to, freak us out. Someone in the comments, I wanted to read this one. Blueprint Harris said, I've got a theory when it comes to sleepwalking. Tell us. Danny Mama 4 said, we had a haunted nursing home. We used to go play manhunt.
Yeah, we did. And it was scary. Like, it was really scary. We used to all go in and, like, deed up, a lot of us. And there was no power. It was old. Like, all of the files for everybody. Like, it's like they literally just got up and left. It was creepy. And then I mean, I never experienced, I experienced the normal, like, the sounds and the creepiness, like the weariness that you would get over, and there was this old man that lived in there too. And
in the nursing
would
home?
Like in the nursing
like a
home,
homeless man?
Yes, but it's like he would walk around very slow and almost like if you got caught by him, he would chase you out. But it's like it was so weird. But I mean, I'm sure that there was the energy I felt. There was a lot of energy in there, but I never experienced anything that was like trying to like come out. You know what I mean? Like directly
communicate or show you, like show face type shit.
Yeah. The experience alone was scary. Like you're going to a haunted nursing home, And there's an
I'm
old man who
sure.
lives. Yeah, there's an old man who lives in there that like scares you away. And he was huge, so it was like it was funny.
I would
But
love
like
to
it was.
go and explore a haunted hospital, school, nursing home, even a cemetery these days. Like, I would love to go do that.
Girl, they used to have a hospital by in Miami that everybody used to go to, and it was like falling apart though. But it was the energy there was heavy too. I mean, I feel like when you go to like an abandoned hospital or something, there's so much like left there that's undone. That's what I mean. It's like
Hmm.
unfinished business.
Yeah,
So
and
it's
think about the
scary.
people who died in the hospital.
Yeah, that's
Like,
what I mean. Like, there's so much unfinished business for people, and then you're coming there, and we're kids. We're running around making a mess, or like even as adults, we're going there and exploring. It's like we're almost intruding in a way. Like
yeah,
Luna
I'm
said,
down to
they would.
intrude though.
Yeah, exactly. They would delete her camera, like her stuff off of her footage, all this stuff. So
Another thing, that how you're like, oh, so has this followed you, or have you experienced anything else outside of this house? Um, when I was younger, I would always, and this like awake, I would always see a figure of a tall man in a long black. Well, I don't know if it was black. It was just a shadow always, but a long trench coat and a big round hat. Um, Always, okay, into adulthood, I see this figure. And my one of my daughters, I always said to people, like, she is my most spiritual child. Like, I believe she's an empath, and I believe she has some of the uh, like, what do I call it? Like, I believe she carries what I carry. I'll just say
yeah,
that. Um, and she came to me. It was probably like a month or two ago, and she's like, she started, and mind you, she's like, she doesn't, wet the bed, she doesn't have accidents, and she started for like a whole week having accidents.
oh,
And she came to me and she's like, Mom, I see this man, I don't want to sleep out there because I see this man. And I'm like, well, what does he look like? Why did she describe
the same fucking person.
the same guy that I said I seen? And like right now I can feel so connected to her about it. It's just fucking scary because, like, what
Yeah.
if
What
there
do you
is
want?
this
Like, why are you like?
entity following? Yeah, and like now you're leading on into my daughter, and granted, it's never gave me feelings of like me being harmed or anything like that, but I've just always been afraid of it, and now
Yeah, because
she
it's
is.
yeah. You
Yeah,
can't
so,
explain why are you here? Like, what do you want? Why do you keep
and
reappearing?
then
Like,
the
there's so many
daughter.
questions.
Exactly. And then the daughter that it's affecting just like draws that attention to it more for me because, like I said, since she was probably like 3, she's 6 now, almost 7. Um, I've always said to people, like, she's the one that's like, they all remind me of me, but she's the
Yeah,
one that's me
different parts.
spiritually, like
Yeah,
she carries that, and
and when they're
it's just
younger,
fucking
they've got
wild.
their foot more in the door, so it's like,
Yes.
So are there any things that you're skeptical about, like that you hear about?
Um, to be honest, no. Like she said, it's like, okay, I will say, prior to listening to her podcast, it's the one that's called Spirits, if anyone wants to go watch it, I would be like, oh, genies aren't real, fairies aren't real, just out of the nature of, they just seem fairy tale, right? But when
Mm-hmm.
you hear her break them down and everything, I don't not believe in them, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
I think like TV, movies, and things kind of have played a part in us
exactly.
making it, you know,
It's kind of like for
um,
those things, it's like how she said aliens is for her. It's like, we haven't seen it or experienced it, but I feel like it could be real, like
mm,
that's where I'm at with those things. I'm not really skeptical about too much because, like I said, I've had some wild ass experiences that most people would be like, you're crazy, you're lying, and wouldn't believe me. So,
yeah. I
what
mean,
about
never say
you?
never. I'm big on that. I mean, maybe like Bigfoot still being alive now. I mean, I like think that Bigfoot probably was a thing. I don't really look too much into it. Like I said, I never say never. Like if I had to pick one thing, like I would say Bigfoot is alive before I would say aliens are. Just like maybe he
Really?
existed at one point. Yeah, maybe he existed at like one
You
point,
would
but
say
like
Bigfoot before aliens?
for sure.
Oh,
And
see,
I'm not
okay.
saying he never
Before we,
existed. I'm not
yeah,
saying
but
he
before
never
we even get
existed.
too deep into Bigfoot, because that is a whole nother realm of things like mermaids, Bigfoot, da 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 da. I would love to do a full episode on that because I've never heard someone say that. So I'm
Yeah, I
intrigued to
mean,
get more about the
into
whole
it.
your take on, but yeah, but I don't want to do it right now.
Oh, okay. So you
Um,
tell me not to say too much because then I have to. We
yeah,
won't be able to have the episode. Okay, I got
yeah,
you. I got you.
yes. So, but in the ghost world, um, there's nothing that you're skeptical about, really.
No, um, no. And I mean, Luna. I mean, even put it more set in stone for me than before because it's you have to realize, like she said, demons are like 1 in 1,000. So even energies play like a part in these experiences that people are having. And I'm big on energy. I'm big on the universe. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm more into letting the universe take its course and
Yeah.
feeling that. So I mean, if
Speaking of demons, someone said, "Do we believe that ghosts are spirits or demons?"
um I mean ghosts, I prefer spirits over ghosts just because like we said, movies, all this stuff, they kind of put like a you know like a fairy tale to ghosts. But for me, spirits for sure. I mean,
Me too.
demons. Yeah, I mean, demons. For me, I don't know. I'm not. I'm. Not very educated as far
You're
as
no paranormal
experiencing. Yeah,
investigator.
exactly.
Yeah.
But for me, I would think like demons come more in like a almost like a shape or a figure or like a feeling almost or like a being possessed for like the ghost figures. I would think spirits. Like that's
Yeah.
what I would lean if I had to choose.
Always links ghosts to being the undead or unalive. I like, people who have, passed on. I don't ever include them with demons,
Demons.
but I
Yeah,
just
like for
believe there are good spirits and bad spirits.
yeah, like I was gonna say, it would take a lot for me to be like, oh my god, it's a demon. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if anything, it's like like you said, like an angry soul, spirit. It's somebody who's been through something, somebody who needs to be released from something. Or they're heavy, they're carrying something. I don't think I've ever been like, oh my god, like, bitch, there's a demon in your house. You know what I mean? Like,
Speaking of that, so, back in the day, I was a lot more angry of a person, I guess you would say, right?
mm-hmm.
I was aggressive, kind of misunderstood, really, but whatever. I didn't take no shit, so a lot of people looked at me as like the big bad wolf in a sense. My ex and his mother used to tell me that I was possessed. Just a bunch of shit, whatever. So one day I'm riding in the car with his sister, and she turns around really fast. And this is really, if it's true, it's not funny, but it's funny to me because whatever. I'm just getting to it. She turns around really fast, looks at me like she's about to tell me something regular, like, "Oh, hey, Broja," whatever. And then she turns back and starts like crying, right? So I'm like,
What?
yeah, I was like, what were you going to say? Why are you crying? And I'm like trying to like, get her to calm down. And her dad is in the car, he's driving us. And he's like, "Tina, do I need to pull over?" Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to say no names. He's like, "Do I need to pull over?" Whatever. And she told me, after a while, she wouldn't tell me the whole car ride. And she told me that what happened was she turned around and she seen a demon face, an evil face,
Oh,
sitting over my shoulder. Mm-hmm.
maybe you were carrying something with you, like
I mean,
something
yeah, because
was.
those were darker days for me. Um, but I don't know. A part of me, I guess, back then was just like, well, this goes hand in hand with you guys'
Oh, what
mom
they've
saying
been
I was
trying to
probably
say.
possessed, and so I was a little skeptical. But like I said, I can't say if it was true, and I can't tell you what the girl really did or didn't
You
see.
saw.
Her reaction was very much real. She was very much shaken up, so she could have. But yeah, she swears that she's seen a demonic face sitting on top of my shoulder in the car one night. And it freaked me the fuck out for days. And I was convinced. I was like, bitch, what is going on? And then, like bad stuff was happening in my life. Not necessarily to me, like I was like, possessed, but just a lot of bad stuff going on
Stuff,
around
yeah.
me. No positivity. So, it could have been, but
Well, like she said, like you like repeatedly said, they latch on to like people who are in a sense weak-minded, and maybe at that state you were in a very emotional, you know,
I don't
standpoint.
think I've ever been weak though.
No, but it's
I
not
think
weak, but you were emotionally vulnerable. You were vulnerable in an aspect. And I mean,
I
when we're
was.
young,
You know
we're,
what? Yeah, I was very young and I was angry a lot and I reacted quickly,
yeah,
without thinking. So you know what? Yeah, like I wouldn't call it weak, but I had
you were
no
vulnerable.
control over my
Yeah,
emotions. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, for sure. And you know what? And I feel like, well, okay, we both believe deeply in the universe, right? You're gonna receive what you put out. So if you're, I mean, maybe you were even putting that out because that's what you were being given all this negative energy. Now you're putting it back out. Now you're opening yourself up for all types of things to kind of, come and knock on your door. So
Yeah, freaky though. I've had a lot of freaky shit um, happen over the years for sure. Recently, oh my God, recently, and I have a theory as to who I think it was, but I was playing Call of Duty, normal day, and my daughter's like running around the house, my youngest, and I thought that she had passed me. So I heard a baby noise, and it literally the person that I was sitting there with also reacted as if she was in there with us. Um, and I turned to go say something to her, and she was not there. She was never there. She was in her room. Um, and yeah, that like maybe there is something going on in the house that I live in now, also, because there's been many things that have happened freaky here,
in
but
this house.
that's the most recent thing that has happened, and it was fucking intense. Like,
Did you
I don't
feel
want to
like it
give
was like
a
a bad
known, and no,
you
very much good. And like I said, it was almost like I saw, like I can't explain it.
I know where you're going, like I know where you're going with it. Like I know what you
Y-
mean. And I
yes, but
know
I'm saying
yeah.
like I saw the person, but not the person. I very much saw my daughter, but the
Yeah.
who I'm thinking it could have been resembles my daughter in a sense. So
Mm.
I'm like, bro, like that happened. When I put it together, um, it's just fucking crazy. Like I deeply believe in this shit, and it's crazy because we put the poll up. Do you believe in the paranormal? And I believe it. Like almost everyone said yes, and we only
Said
had one
yes.
no, right?
Mm.
We had one
No, we
no, and
did.
I wish he was here because I would love to hear and understand why he doesn't believe.
You know what that just made me think of is because you were telling me that you've had like spirits or you're experiencing something like in your own home.
Mm-hmm.
One or two of them not being good, one of them kind of being unknown, and then this other one feeling safe, like it was okay.
Close.
I
Mm-hmm.
wonder if, I mean, if your home is open, like it's just open to all types of spirits, like you said, coming in and out, and like if you cleanse your house of the evil, does that also get rid of like the good? You get what I'm saying? Because
Yeah, that would have been a good question to ask her also.
yeah, we're definitely gonna have to have her back on again because now that we're
Mm-hmm.
getting into it, I've got questions. Because you think about like you cleanse your house, maybe they, I'm not sure how it works, but if they,
And you need a professional to cleanse your house. That's another thing I wanted to
mm-hmm,
touch on. sage isn't like, not everyone needs to sage, and you need to study the type of sage that you use. When I learned this, I stopped saging because
Yeah, I recently learned this too. And then you open up to, you're not only getting rid of the bad, you're getting rid of the good energy too. So you're opening up your house to all types. It's cleansed in a sense to where it's like you can almost welcome anything in at that point. That's what I've heard.
Yep.
Like if you're not doing it right.
So just be careful with the cleansing, because we're not professionals, and you just got to do your research and know. Once I found that out, I stopped. I had told one of my friends about it, and I think you told me also, like, it's time to sage. And she told me, like, oh, you need to go get some sage and sage your house. And I was just like, okay. And then I started like reading up on it, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not supposed to do this. Like, that's what they have professionals like Spooky Luna for, like you get someone to come and take care of that for you when it's like that. I seen someone, Jason Washington, said the mirror test is when you clean house or check with a candle in the mirror.
I have to look that up. I want to know what that is. I'm definitely gonna look that up. He's from Germany, by the way. He's watching us from Germany, so shout out to him.
Shout out to you. Shout out to Germany. I took German, side note, from first
so go ahead, give us
to fifth grade.
Go ahead, give us something.
And
say something.
Every time I tell people this, they tell me to say something. But German is such a hard language that I'm not comfortable speaking it. Almost like I'm uncomfortable saying someone's name in Spanish who has that roll. You know what I'm saying? Because I say it to Americans.
Yeah, it's a very like strong language.
Yeah, so I don't like it. And I only know a few things. Like I forgot. Like I said, Guten Tag. Exactly. I only know a few things from like, first to fifth grade, like the basics, and I can sing happy birthday, and stuff like that. But
you can sing happy birthday?
Yes, maybe for your birthday this year.
Please.
But
I need that.
Yeah, it's a fun fact about me, guys. I know a little razzle dazzle of German. My teacher's name was Frau Schaefer. Shout out to Frau Schaefer.
Shout out to him. Was it a man or a woman?
Oh, it was a woman.
Oh, okay.
It's the worst language if you have bad breath. Facts. Because you just like throwing it out there.
Throwing it out there.
Your throat. Yeah. That's funny. Like he said, it's off from the throat when they speak. Yeah. Go ahead.
After hearing about the Ouija board, are you thinking about trying that out?
So listen, my take on Ouija boards, I've always been afraid because of the stories I heard, but I've always still been super tempted. Hearing her say what she said about it, of course, it makes me just that much more comfortable to try, but I think I'm still very afraid because she also did say,
you're opening
gotta know what you're doing, and you're opening the door. And considering my experiences and the things I have gone through and continue to go through, even though they're like small and sporadic here and there, I don't want to play with that, so maybe in the future one day I'm like, open to consider it.
So not in the near future.
Yeah, no, not yet. But I do want to. I always have wanted to, like, bad. What about you? What was your take on it before hearing her talk about it?
I was afraid of it. I was skeptical as far as like if it was safe or not. I think I've always believed that it was real and that it was a thing. I mean, you have to kind of believe, like, if there is an afterlife, if there's something as crazy as the afterlife, there has to be some way to communicate. You know what I mean? So I've always believed, and I've always been scared. Like, I've always just not wanted to open up myself up for anything coming in. And like she said, she's like, that's exactly what you're doing if you're not doing it right. I'm not saying I would never try it. I'm not saying I'm still scared. I just know enough to know that I don't know enough, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I definitely have to educate myself. And like you said, like, I'm not saying never, but just not anytime soon.
Yeah. Jason Washington said it's never 100% safe. And that's where my fear to try it comes in, because I know it can be, and I know that there's also that risk. So I'm not big on taking those kind of risks. Like, so I don't know. But I have been wanting a lot lately to go and explore a cemetery. I want to go and, you know, like look at
Have you been to a
different,
cemetery?
yeah, but like way back in the day.
I would like to go
And
to
I
like an
didn't,
old cemetery.
that's what I was about to say. And I didn't take it serious for one. So I was just like a child with a bunch of my friends, and you know, it's like we're just walking through smoking. That was that. Um, but I want to actually go and, like, you know, read up on some of the tombstones. You know, like I said, because I'm an empath, I want to see if I can feel things while I'm in there. You know what I'm saying? And granted, we feel like the living, so I'm not like, oh, I'm gonna go and feel the dead, but I'm just really good at picking up on energy. So I want to see if I can pick up on any energies from a cemetery. Like, I would love that feeling. I'm very into the thrill of that. But
Yeah.
I'm also afraid of that too, you know. And my sister, she was about to go to this like ritual thing. Um, I think it was last night. It was a full moon or something, and like she knows these girls who like do this stuff. And they like told her like, no, it's best that you don't come because you're pregnant and, you know, whatever. So that
Oh,
scares me,
okay.
the fact that, you know, like, so don't come because a spirit from here can clench onto you. So it's like, who's to say it can't to me just because I'm
Yeah.
not pregnant, you know? So
Yeah.
that'd be my fear. But I think that sooner than later, I'm going to explore a cemetery.
Explore that. I would
Mm-hmm.
definitely I would definitely be down in like yeah, like you said, like I could see that being like somewhere in like the near future. Like I've been to cemeteries before at night, like when I was younger. You can definitely feel the presence of something. You know what I
Something,
mean? Like you
yeah.
could feel that you're not alone. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like you could feel yeah, it's heavy there. And but it wasn't like I didn't have a bad feeling. It was like I had a bad feeling because I didn't know the feeling, like what it was,
Yeah.
and it's just like you're in a cemetery.
You're
But I
spooked
didn't
out.
feel, yeah, I was spooked out, but
Mhm.
it didn't feel like, evil. It just felt
Yeah.
like, okay, this is an unfamiliar ground. I would love to go. I'm pretty sure they have like beautiful old cemeteries in like New Orleans,
Oh my
and
God, yes.
things like that. Yeah, so I would love that.
Hmm. That's the one thing when we do go to New Orleans, that's what we'll do.
Yes, I'm down for that. Would
Would
you
you
guys
have a
have a
first
first
date
date? Yeah.
in a
If
cemetery?
hell yeah, I would. Like
A
me
first
on a
date.
first, if somebody asked me to go on a date in the cemetery, I would be like, "Fuck yeah!" Like you are my cup of tea. Like let's fucking do it. Let's go. Like
I absolutely would not. I would be intrigued by the person and I'd be like, yo, like, I like
I
you.
would
This is
do it.
cool. We are not going
I
to the
know.
cemetery for the first date. Let's go to dinner. And then maybe like the
No.
fourth date, we'll explore a cemetery together. But
Fuck
you got me
dinner.
fucked up.
Take me to the
It's
cemetery.
It's a little alarming that that's the first place you want to take me, buddy. Like, what are your
Well, I
plans for
mean,
real?
Well, I guess I mean like if you just meet this person and it's like, oh
Yeah,
hey, like you want to go to the cemetery, that's weird. But like if it's like somebody that you're talking to for a while, or like you guys, are comfortable with each other and they're like, oh, let's do this, like let's fucking go. I would be
okay,
down.
girl. I gotta really
I'm with
know
it.
you. Like, we gotta really be like hitting it off because what?
Mm.
The cemetery? That's your idea now. What hole you got digged up waiting for me already?
Oh my god, bitch.
Yeah, no, I overthink too much, bitch. Fuck that.
I'm
Picnic
with it.
party in the cemetery. All right, there's one more question that I'm gonna touch on. Um, so where would your belief fall when it comes to these entities, spirits, and demons? I think we've like summed up that we definitely believe in that world, 100%. You're not skeptical about any of it.
No, oh shit.
Sorry,
You
I'm
get
tapped.
notifications, girl.
Yeah, people
Yeah,
razzle
no, I'm not skeptical. about that. I mean, even like the skinwalker thing, to be honest with you, like when I first found out about it, I was like, what? And then when you kind of realize like it gets deeper and then you're more like, what? And then you're like, wait, this, like she said, this Native, that Native American, first off, that's like, that's old. That's Native Americans. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's that whole, it's like they have like their own world, you know what I mean, in a sense, in a way. And I mean, the way that it was being explained by the people that have experienced it, or just after educating myself on it, like my body just kind of like got
Mm-hmm.
chills, and it's just like, why not? I mean, all the other fucking phenomenons and all these fucking miracles and all these things can happen. Why not?
Yeah, I believe in
Fucking
them.
living, yeah, living enough. Us being human beings here on the universe and doing what we're doing
It's wild
alone
enough.
is wild enough.
Exactly.
So
Facts. So Hen Dog said, first date to the cemetery, LOL. If he invites you there on the first date, he's gonna kill you. That's how I feel. So,
I don't know. I'll be ready. I'll be ready.
yeah. Jason Washington says skinwalkers are real. So we got some believers. Like we had a lot of good views tonight. A lot of people tapping in, and it really surprised me to see how many people believe and are
What?
intrigued. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was nice. Um, do you want to go out with anything?
Um. I think. I think it's real. Like she said, don't close your door. Be teachable. Want to learn. You know what I mean? Like get out there and read a book. Watch some YouTube videos. Like even if you don't believe, the stories alone are intriguing enough. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like I could listen to it for hours. I could listen to people's stories for hours. Yeah, just be careful. Like
Be careful.
be careful. Like you said, even saging your house, there's a way to do it. So
All right, so that wraps up tonight's episode. Thank you all for joining us. Super interesting. If you are new here, don't forget to click the link in our bio and subscribe to our YouTube channel, like and turn on your notifications. We appreciate all of you for being here tonight, for tapping in and joining us.
super fun episode. I was so
Yeah,
excited. I'm so glad we did this.
yeah, it was super awesome. And if you missed it, stay tuned. The whole episode will be uploaded to YouTube within the next few days. And with that being said, until next Wednesday at 8 p.m., guys.